Welcome to Spotlight on Women in GRC, a podcast series counting down to the Women in GRC Awards 2026 on the 2nd of July, backed by key sponsor CoreStream GRC. This series shines a light on the women shaping governance, risk and compliance, exploring their backgrounds, experiences and perspectives on what's changing across the industry. I'm your host, Lucy Montague, and today I'm joined by Rita. Hi, Rita.
Hi, Lucy. Very nice to see you again today.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the podcast.
Thank
Rita, could
you.
you just, well, no, you're welcome. Can we start off by just introducing yourself, talking about your current role and your background?
Yes, of course. So, my name is Rita Parmar, and I am Senior Risk Officer at ABN AMRO Bank. I have been with the bank just under 2 years now. And my background has been in risk for a number of years now. I have worked with a number of different other financial services institutions in the industry, as well as other types of organisations. And I'm a keen advocate of GRC.
Yes, I was having a cheeky little look at your LinkedIn just before joining the call today and saw that you covered third-party risk management, governance and controls, and you're currently in risk.
I am indeed, yes. So my current focus is around generically across non-financial risk. So it's going to be, as you said, third-party risk, data, information and cybersecurity, and then kind of it encroaches on various other, like your geopolitical, AI, cyber, etc. So it kind of encroaches on all of those factors.
Wow, they're keeping you busy.
Very. And of course they must.
What first drew you into the world of governance, risk and compliance?
So I guess it was a journey that kind of I was always my background is finance. So I'm an accountant by trade, FCCA, and it kind of naturally led me into the world of SOX, Sarbanes-Oxley. That then led me into regulatory and compliance type roles. And I, in particular, kind of like the governance and side of for reporting in particular. I then kind of moved into risk post that.
Lovely. And you're enjoying yourself?
I am indeed, yes.
Good. Good.
Yes.
So we're going to move into kind of some barriers and potential biases that you faced in your career as we're talking to obviously the topic of women in GRC. How did you go about navigating those challenges?
So I think as a woman leader, you always have really strong background because you're always juggling personal, home life, work, and everything together. And you naturally have a lot of organization skills which you bring to the table. And I think that's how I kind of managed to come all of this, bring this to the front, and then juggling all those things. So, you do a full day at work, you go home and you do the equivalent again at home. And then you've still got work to do. So you do that again afterwards, after you finished your doing the children, blah, 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 etc. So you continue with that. So I think that's kind of what I just try and emphasize all that. And I also really particularly like our young up and coming generation, and then showing them actually that you can do all of this. There's no barrier that you can't overcome.
When you were starting out in your career, did you have someone that you were kind of looking up to or had as a bit of a mentor?
I probably did when I was doing my finance, and it was the managing director of the company that I worked with. And my career started off in almost the food manufacturing world, which is a completely different world to what we're in financial services. But it was a small company, and basically I saw everything in that company, from factory floor where you're actually making the products to how it then goes out to the customer, and then how you then process all of that into your different platforms and so forth. And all of that makes you into understanding how everything flows. And that's kind of how I started my career. Yeah, my career journey in that way. And I got to know everything, like, just like, okay, how do you do a VAT return? And you just did it. And how do you prepare a product profile and that sort of thing. So I kind of got into everything from that side of things.
Okay, so you almost recommend exposing yourself to as much as you can about the organisation you work for to really get that holistic oversight. Yeah.
Absolutely, because that's the only way you really truly understand how things work in an organization, or in any industry. That if you can uh, uh, like talk with your peers, talk with uh, the people on the shop floors or in the product development or product side of things, if you can talk to as many people and understand where in the chain you are and what your linkages are, I think that's the most one of the key things I would really recommend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
providing that context and relevancy to what you're doing for the greater good of the company. Love that.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, as a female leader, what do you think women bring in regards to a different perspective to risk and compliance leadership, if anything?
We bring plenty, and I think the biggest thing that we bring is, and I think I mentioned this earlier, is when we go um, when we go on maternity leave or whatever, we find ourselves coming back to work thinking we're not good enough or we've missed out or whatever. But actually, you bring back so many other skills that
Mm,
you maybe potentially didn't have before. And when you bring that back, um, you're actually using all those skill sets to then take your career forward. And I
mhm,
think that's a really, really strong thing that a lot of our male partners don't necessarily always have, because they're not
mm,
always necessarily juggling all those things. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
It's interesting because on our Director of Risk Lauren actually spoke about the importance of maternity leave and how it enabled her to reflect and plan out her next career move because she had that time
Yes.
to pause and really think about what is it I want to do in GRC.
Yes, exactly that. Exactly. And I took a little pause in my career, probably like 2 to 3 years, when I was working in the TV and media type of organizations. And I felt that I didn't really want to go back there at that level. I was a financial controller, but I just didn't feel I could go back. So I took a couple of years pause, but I did so much in that time. I
Mm,
ran little businesses, and all sorts of things. And so when I was ready to come back to work, I probably started off at different levels, but I started off in consulting and so forth. And I then just took that forward, and I then moved out of finance into the different sectors that you kind of see now: commercial analysis, and then into regulatory and compliance and SOX, and then into risk. Yeah,
yeah. That's the thing. Not everything's always it's good to have that squiggly career and acquire those skills. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Um, how can organisations do a better job of supporting women in leadership roles in GRC? What does your company do to help women?
We have quite a few things. So I also chair the DEI committee here. So I'm a real advocate of that. And in my remit, I have quite a bit in there. So it's all the LGBTQ side of things. It's the gender, women's empowerment and so forth. We're looking at culture and so forth. And I'm bringing all of these in. And our organisation is really good at making sure we kind of maybe do some like events and things that inspire all these kind of things. We also have like a series of women's empowerment lunches which are run on a monthly basis. We're encouraged to attend women in governance, women in the city, women networking events and so forth, and bring as much back. We celebrate International Women's Day as well. So there's quite a lot that we do in our organisation, even though we're fairly small as a branch, but we still do quite a lot.
I love that. And just in time with Pride Month being June, what are you guys doing with
Yes,
Pride Month?
we do. However, we've decided that we have so much going on in June that for Pride Month, I've moved the calendar for Pride related activities to later in the year so that a lot of people can attend. And I've picked an amazing movie night for it, which relates to Pride's focus and so forth, and so that more people will join. And it's not just like, okay, we just don't want, okay, this is just for the LGBT community and so forth. We want everybody to come along and get inspired from it. So
Yeah, create some allies.
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Very nice. Can you share a moment when you were particularly proud or empowered in your career?
I probably have several of those, but I think I'm gonna maybe just go for this role. I have before I joined this company, I probably was on a different path. I had been consulting, contracting for quite a while, and I think you're just a one person. You join different companies, you leave, you kind of like, you create new visions and so forth, and then you move on. But I was really proud that I could join a company on a permanent basis and become a person that can really drive women's agenda, women in the company, and also like I think one of the biggest proudest moments for me is like I was asked to be the chair of the DEI committee, and then that also allows me to focus on the women and gender kind of aspects of it. So for me, that's been really important and really kind of nice. So that's a proud moment for me.
I love that. And how do you go about balancing those initiatives alongside your kind of day-to-day operations and the responsibilities you have in risk?
Oh my God, yeah, that's a really tough one because you have got to do your day job and then you've got all these other things to do. But you know what? That's what we women are so good at. We're so good at juggling everything. We manage our time. We kind of prioritize things. We feel if there are some things that are taking far too much time, how can we do things better? How can we get help that will that that might, we might be able to give pockets of it to other people to help us on and so forth. So I think that's kind of how I do it. And sometimes some things are not as important, so you can put them on the back burner and just move forward with that. Yeah.
Okay, so thinking about prioritization, but also delegation where you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's diving a little deeper into your kind of day-to-day of your current role and the variety of risks that you're covering and the things that you have to report on. What does that look like?
So we have quarterly ERC meetings, and there are various packs that are produced for that, and that consists of top risks and events and so forth, and then on top of that, it's you've got aspects of financial risk and non-financial risk. So the team would be collating the key metrics and so forth around that, and then we would reach out to the individual business areas for them to complete their first line review, and as I'm a senior risk officer, I'm second line, so I would then overlay that from a second line review perspective and go through and challenge what's gone on, how have we improved, or how have we worsened in certain situations, and what's coming, what's emerging, what's trending next. So that's kind of a quarterly cycle of things that we do. On a day-to-day basis, you're going to have your control reviews and your risk dialogues, and just emerging trends and so forth.
And
Yeah.
how do you engage the wider stakeholders who aren't necessarily within your risk team to truly care about risk? I'm going to say it as blunt as possible. Yeah, how do you get them to be engaged and involved?
So just mentioning it earlier, we have this kind of tool set that we use. We call it risk dialogues. So we have a monthly kind of discussion with them, and also we just, if there's any questions, we just go up and talk to them.
Yeah.
And having conversations just there and then really helps focus, and like, I think the other key thing is, we're not entirely here to just police you, we're here to help you, and giving them that empowerment to kind of say, look, if things go wrong, call them out, because there's no it's not bad. Yes, it's an event that's occurred that's bad, but there's nothing wrong with you to create an issue or to create like an event management criteria. So that's kind of how we manage things.
Love that. So you're reframing the concept of risk from being seen as this sort of negative, scary concept to potentially being a bit of a supportive safety net and here to support, yeah, their day to
Yes.
day.
Yes,
That's
yes, very much
lovely.
so. Very much so, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like, I'm involved in, like, for example, committees like the third party and outsourcing committees and so forth. So being naturally on some of those committees means that you're right in that space where they've got those prevalent issues, and you can direct and help things forward. And I'm also an advocate of let's find a solution, and not not just have all the problems. Let's brainstorm and create a solution-based approach.
Yeah. And then in regards to the reporting, because I just find the reporting side so fascinating, because it can just create so much discussion and new concepts and new ideas. What sort of questions are you being asked about in your risk dashboards that maybe you weren't being asked about maybe 5, 10 years ago?
I think the key areas are obviously AI.
Yes.
AI, and then in this environment, geopolitical risk, those things seem to feature. And when you've got geopolitical risk, it's not a risk type in itself. It surfaces in multiple areas, and impacts the different various risk types, and it's how do you build all that in. But the AI space is a bit of an unknown, and we're kind of thinking in terms of use it, but make sure you're you're not making your key decisions out of it. And you but don't be scared of using it, because if you don't take the risks, you're not going to get the rewards either. So
yeah.
Mm.
Striking that balance, isn't it?
Yes.
It was interesting. I attended a Google AI empowerment lecture a couple of weeks ago, and they used the term human on the loop rather than human in the loop. So having that confidence.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really stuck with
and
me.
you know what? We are human. So whilst you can get all the analytics and the data that kind of like, okay, you can get the AI to kind of give you all of that. As a human, you're going to add the qualitative feature that will bring out the aspects that that all the analytics can you can use, and that side of it is not going to go away, and it's not going to get replaced, because that's just as important.
Yeah. Outside of AI, this is such a hot topic that everyone is immediately at the forefront of their minds. But alongside AI, what other things are your team, you and yourself, really focusing on at the minute?
So third-party risk is an important feature, and in particular, with third-party risk, you've got the layers that happen, which, and I think the key kind of thing is, right, you've got fourth party, fifth party, etc., and it's understanding all those different relationships that might impact you in your organization that you don't have line of sight of naturally. So that to me is a key area. And then the other area is your portfolio. How vulnerable is it in the current environment, with all the stuff that's going on with the oil crisis and stuff like that? So that has an impact on, okay, where the client portfolios that you might have, are they doing okay? Do they have problems? Is it going to result in any negative compromises that we might have to deal with? So those are the focus areas that kind of with challenges that we're facing at the moment. Yeah.
Oh, so you guys need to stay on top of the news and what's going on.
We do. Yeah. Indeed.
Moving into our final questions, how has your career shaped who you are outside of work?
I am a person that really likes to get into the detail, but whilst I get into the detail, I can also completely come out of it and understand the higher components of it. So I can explain to board level, and I can explain to a new individual that's starting up in an organization. So how has that shaped me is that I've instilled, I have two children, and I've been able to bring that into their life to say there's nothing wrong with starting like down and then working yourself up, but getting a good balance and knowing everything is really good, but make sure you know where your end goal is. that's how kind of like it shaped my family, and it shaped where I'm going, my improving my career, and yeah, I kind of like gone forward with it.
So having that sort of North Star or strategic focus to keep you on the right path.
Yes, yes.
Love that. And I was just going to ask a final question in regards to any advice you have for younger women who are just starting out, maybe considering a role in GRC, or maybe just starting in GRC. What would you advise for them in their next steps?
I would advise them, ask all the questions that you have in your head. Nothing is too small. You might think that well, am I being really silly or stupid or whatever? But don't feel afraid to ask, and and tr go and attend everything. There's so much material out there. Um, just go out there and attend things, and don't be afraid to talk to people, approach people when you do attend events and things, because they're all willing to help you. And at the end of the day, I think us women tend to be shyer, and we always kind of, we have a list, and we kind of say, oh, I can't do this, I can't do this, I could do this and this. But whereas our male allies often like will say, yeah, I can do this, I can do this, when not necessarily, it might not necessarily be the case. So think of yourself positively. That's my key
Yeah.
message.
I really like that, Rita, because obviously we met at an event, and this has now led to you coming onto the podcast. You never know where that initial networking conversation can lead you.
Yes, I know, we did. Yes. So and I'm really pleased to have met you. Yeah,
Yeah. Lovely talking to you. Thank you so much, Rita. And
thank you.
thank you. And for all those listening, this is just a reminder of the Women in GRC Awards happening on the 2nd of July in London. So make sure you head over to their website and get yourself a ticket. We hope to see you then. Thank you.
Amazing. See you soon. Bye.
Bye bye.